Welcome to this explainer. Okay, today we are doing something really special. We're diving headfirst into the dense, brilliantly interwoven lives of three iconic characters in Leo Tolstoy's masterpiece, War and Peace. We're going to track their profound spiritual evolution, starting from the turbulent period of 1805, pushing right through the chaos of the Napoleonic Wars, all the way toward their ultimate resolutions in 1820. Let's dive right into how the brutality of history contrasts with the ultimate human search for inner peace. To make sense of this sprawling epic, we're going to map our journey across five key milestones: high society in 1805, the chaos of Austerlitz, Pierre's quest for meaning, the fairy debate, and finally, love and inner peace. Part 1. High Society in 1805. So, we kick things off in July 1805. Picture the grand, imposing architecture of the Russian elite. We're at Anna Pavlovna's Scherer's St. Petersburg reception, and it is a highly manicured, completely artificial space. This is a world where fortunes are plotted, marriages are arranged purely for money, and the impending, very real threat of Napoleon Bonaparte is treated as, well, mere parlor conversation. It's an environment completely insulated from reality, humming along like a carefully watched spinning mill. Over the next few minutes of this explainer, we're going to track our three main protagonists, Pierre Bezukhov, Prince Andrew Bolkonsky, and Natasha Rostova, across a rapid period of personal and historical transformation. We'll be moving from these drawing rooms to actual battlefields and eventually to some really profound personal crossroads. You really have to understand where these characters are starting out. Prince Andrew perfectly captures the spiritual emptiness of this high society. He expresses a cynical, heavy exhaustion with the vanity and triviality of his life and, honestly, his marriage. It's basically a 19th century version of profound social burnout. It's this deep dissatisfaction that ultimately drives him to seek purpose, glory, and some kind of meaning out on the battlefield instead. Part 2. The Chaos of Austerlitz. And just like that, boom, we leave the polished floors of St. Petersburg for the visceral, muddy reality of war. The organized decorum of the drawing room completely shatters as we're plunged into the fog and confusion of the Enns Bridge, and later on, Austerlitz. There's a moment where a soldier jokes, "A million all about one," as troops are crossing the bridge. It really highlights how human beings are suddenly reduced to this endless, nameless mass. They're entirely stripped of the individuality they clung to back in the city. Tolstoy is just brilliant here at capturing this sensory overload of military chaos on the page. In this environment, all logic and individual agency seem completely swallowed up by the masses. I mean, you just have to imagine the sheer noise and panic. Infantrymen are fleeing, baggage wagons are blocking up the muddy roads. The air absolutely reeks of smoke. It is literally the absolute antithesis of peace. This whole scene brilliantly illustrates the brutal reality of war versus the theory of war. In this blinding fog at Austerlitz, the supposedly brilliant, meticulously planned military strategies of the generals just crumble into a chaotic, terrifying reality. The soldiers can't even see where they're going, and the commanders lose all control. A complete sense of helplessness takes over as the so-called science of war completely fails them. But right in the middle of all this chaos, there is this incredible moment of clarity. Lying severely wounded at Austerlitz, Prince Andrew stares up into the lofty, infinite sky above him, and it hits him. He realizes the absolute insignificance of Napoleon's earthly glory when compared to the vast, peaceful eternity of those heavens. It is a massive, transformative realization for him that glory and war are just empty pursuits. Part 3. Pierre's quest for meaning. So while Andrew is finding this painful clarity on the battlefield, his friend Pierre Bezukhov is fighting a completely different kind of battle back home. He inherits a massive fortune and quickly finds himself married to a celebrated beauty, Helene. Yet he is completely adrift. It's the ultimate be careful what you wish for scenario, right? It's a profound reminder that having everything on paper definitely does not equal peace. Overwhelmed by sudden wealth and surrounded by superficial flatterers, Pierre falls into an agonizing existential crisis. He's constantly asking himself how he should live, what is wrong, and what it all actually means. Desperate for some kind of guiding light to cure this spiritual paralysis, Pierre actually gets initiated into the Freemasons. He eagerly attempts to adopt their rigorous virtues. He focuses on self-knowledge, generosity, and inner purity, all to build this blissful, irreproachable future. He tries to reform his estates, he builds hospitals, and he works on purifying his inner self, really hoping this structured morality will finally bring him the peace he so desperately craves. Part 4. The Fairy Debate. Fast forward to the spring of 1807. Pierre visits the now isolated Prince Andrew, and it leads to this profound philosophical clash. Drifting down a river on a raft, their divergent spiritual paths literally collide. On one side, we've got Pierre's burning Masonic desire to save the world and his belief in eternal truth. And on the other side, Andrew's wounded, isolating retreat into himself. He believes life is inherently evil, and the absolute best you can do is just avoid harming others. But Pierre just refuses to accept Andrew's cynicism. He has this passionate outburst about how we must live and love and believe in eternity, and it impacts Andrew deeply. As Andrew listens and gazes up at the exact same high sky he saw on the battlefield at Austerlitz, something youthful and joyful suddenly awakens within his soul. Pierre's raw idealism acts as a spark for his friend's slow rebirth. Part 5. Love and Inner Peace. Now we're moving into 1809. And both men's spiritual journeys intersect with the radiant, life-affirming energy of a young woman, Natasha Rostova. Inspired by a trip through a deeply green spring forest and the sight of Natasha's infectious, uncontainable joy, Prince Andrew completely abandons his rural isolation. He realizes that retreating from life just isn't the answer, deciding decisively that his life must not be lived for himself alone. So he returns to society, actively seeking harmony with the world. Natasha is literally the catalyst here. She represents this pure, unfiltered embrace of life itself. She isn't reading Masonic texts or pondering the heavens on a battlefield. She simply lives in the moment. She organically possesses the exact inner peace and joy that Pierre and Andrew have been frantically analyzing, debating, and fighting for. Take her first major ball in St. Petersburg, for example. Natasha's sheer delight in existence absolutely takes center stage. Her vitality is such a stark contrast to the hollow vanity of Anna Pavlovna's soirees we saw back in 1805. Here, Natasha's pure joy essentially strips away the heavy philosophical burdens of the men around her, effortlessly drawing both Andrew and Pierre right into her orbit. When she makes the simple declaration that she has never enjoyed herself so much before, it really marks the height of her bliss. She's in a state where she believes completely in the goodness of everyone and everything. It's this profound, radiating happiness that impacts everyone she interacts with. And it reminds us in our own lives that sometimes inner peace isn't found in overanalyzing everything, but simply in the unburdened capacity to experience joy. Swept up by this entirely new lease on life, Prince Andrew proposes to Natasha. But bound by duty to his strict father, he insists on a 1-year delay to test their commitment. For the intensely impatient, live-in-the-moment Natasha, this creates an agonizing waiting period. It's a tragic irony, really. The very delay designed to protect their future peace is exactly what threatens it in the present, introducing a deep, deep fragility into their newfound happiness. Natasha expresses this incredible sense of newfound peace regarding her engagement, feeling calm and contented. But like we said, it is deeply fragile. So, as we leave them in 1810, I want to leave you with a provocative thought. Can this delicate tranquility possibly survive the massive, violent shadow of the 1812 invasion that is about to sweep across Russia? This moment is merely the eye of the storm before their final, ultimate resolutions in 1820. Thank you so much for watching this explainer, and keep questioning the history around you.